Smart watch, smartphone, smart car, smart home, smart life. Everything works simple, seamlessly, no problem, right? Clearly, I'm being a smart ass. This is not the easiest thing in the world. In fact, as our last speaker was pointing out, it's getting increasingly more complex. I think he's exactly right. There's a lot of excitement that's going on, a lot of incredible potential, and at the same time, there's an increasing amount of complexity that we're seeing here, which is where I come in and where these guys come in. My name is Jeremy Kaplan. I'm editor-in-chief of Digital Trends. We're a technology news and reviews site. Our mission is to help explain and simplify what is an increasingly digital world. And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing at this event as well. The promise of the connected home and of cars connecting to homes is simplification. It's easy to control my Nest device from my smartphone. It would be a lot easier if my car could just do that for me. And there's a lot of great potential that's possible there, but there's also an incredible amount of complexity. So who is going to simplify that for us? Gentlemen, I turn to you. I hope you will simplify this for us. We have a panel of experts here. We're going to walk through some of the challenges, some of the expectations, some of the potential, and some of the pitfall of what happens when cars meet homes. So why don't you take a second to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you guys do.
Thanks, Jeremy. My name is Mark Dipko. I manage the brand, business, and product strategy at Hyundai Motor America. So I really represent more of the customer side of things, and I get to create ideas and concepts and then throw them over to the team that does all the implementation to try to figure them out.
I'm Tim Evelvold. I'm the executive director of Covisint. Covisint is a technology company that allows different devices, different vehicles, and different applications and ecosystems to be able to actually work together, hopefully to simplify the experience for the user.
And I'm CJ Frost from Amazon. I'm a principal solution architect, lead the automotive practice for the Alexa voice service, working with the auto industry on integrating voice into different auto experiences inside the car, about the car, mobility.
Hi, my name is Mark Menard. I work at FCA. Been with them for quite some time, working on the connected vehicle program as well as servicing our Mopar aftermarket program as well. A lot of it is focused around the customer experience and how we can make that a better product for those.
Great. My name is Scott Frank. I'm Vice President of Marketing at Ubiquity. We're a telematics service provider, and we basically do end-to-end integration, hardware, software, cloud connectivity, service delivery. So yeah, get the integration thing.
I was short a water bottle, I'm sorry. What have I done? Terrible. So great, we have a great collection. Well, I have two mics here, so I'm super loud, enjoy it. We have a lot of expertise here, so I'm hopefully going to stay in the background here. I'm going to kick this debate off, and I like a nice, lively debate, so let's dig into this. We were talking before, these guys have a lot of fascinating perspective. I guess the first question I'd like to ask you guys, what do you think consumers are looking for? When you look at the smart home space, I think there are a lot of companies that are selling platforms, and I think consumers don't really want a platform. What the heck is a platform? What am I going to do with it? I think consumers in smart home space are looking for simple solutions, a way to watch my dog when I'm out, a way to control my security, control my doorknob, whatever. What do you guys think people are looking for from the merger of smart homes and smart cars? What's going to sell this whole thing?
I really think it comes down to its convenience. I mean, when it comes down to, when you boil it all down, we can talk about these individual products and all of these lights and thermostats and garage door openers, but it's really convenience and the ability to take some of the stress away, whether that be something as simple as, you know, it's opening the garage door as I pull in, or in a lot of cases, that convenience is knowing that my home is secure maybe when I'm away. So, you know, again, there are a lot of those platforms. They don't really talk well to each other right now, which I think is a smart home industry issue. And, you know, when you're looking for convenience, the last thing you want to do is spend hours and hours trying to set something up and figure out how it talks to each other. So that's kind of the big challenge that we all have to work to avoid.
I think another aspect is relevance, right? Making the feature, the service, and the brand experience relevant at that point in time. Right, in the old days, it was I had a vehicle, I had a key, and you know it was all inside the four wheels. Nowadays, it's really about how is my service, how's my brand experience extending into and out of context, whether it be I'm at home or I'm driving someplace and I need some help.
Yeah, and I think it's ease of interaction. We talk about all these different devices available from different manufacturers, different protocols, different platforms. Consumers don't want to have to worry about that. They want to have a very easy way to integrate everything together and have it all work together the way they expect it to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, taking off of that, it's really that seamless experience. And the key thing I think that we factor in is personalized to that person, right? So it's not a common experience for everyone. It's for that unique individual in the devices that they may be introduced into that vehicle. So it's hard to standardize to one common platform when you're bringing in something that potentially changes it every time something new is introduced into that vehicle. So that's where it introduces the complexity.
No, this is so sequential. It's just like
Yeah, I know.
right on down the line.
They were stealing my thunders.
I think it's debatable whether consumers are even looking for this just yet.
That's a
You know,
great point.
we're going to kind of figure it out, right? I mean, we're all starting to conceptualize what these use cases are going to be, and you know, I think we could be in violent agreement that you know, we want a seamless experience. The key is going to be to actually deliver something that has a lot of utility, and you know, not try to boil the ocean, but get going in some really intelligent ways. You know, leveraging Wi-Fi connectivity when the vehicle comes in proximity to the house. Integrating stuff like, you know, door locking systems, garage door openers, just stuff that makes it easier for people as a first step. But yeah, I mean, we know that a lot of people are driving connected cars and don't even know what features are in their connected car. So I just hope that we spend you know, a good amount of time and do some testing and some research so that the solutions that do get developed and invested in are, you know, on target and are going to work for people.
Some of the best solutions, some of the best products are things that people weren't even looking for. The TiVo, for example, I don't think most people didn't even understand what it was and why you would want that, and then it became something you have to have. And the same thing with backup cameras. I don't think people were necessarily asking for those, and it became, as soon as you've used one, you said, oh my gosh, this is essential.
Yeah, it's true. It's like, you know, the ideal, you want to surprise and delight people and have them go, ooh, wow, that's really neat. I'm kind of glad I bought this car, even if I didn't know it was in it until you know, read the setup guide or whatever.
Well, there's a lot of potential. I think there's a lot of potential to surprise and delight people, but there's one key to the whole thing, which is staying connected. How important is it that the car has 100% uptime? And what happens when the car is no longer connected?
I'll take that one. Who in the audience lives in the Detroit area? A lot of people. So I got into town yesterday and wanted to go get some food, and I happened to rent a car with navigation in it. Put in the address to the mall and ran into a roadblock sign. Big Beaver Road, something's wrong with that road, out since March. My navigation system in the car didn't know that, and I didn't know how to get to the destination. On my phone that's connected, I have a navigation app, put the destination in there, and it showed the detour, and it was updated. So, you know, there's this struggle between having availability offline and having constantly updated information for something like that, where there's dynamic rerouting on a connected device, where on a navigation system that's not connected, there's no dynamic data update. So I think, could I have made it to the mall with the navigation that was in the car? Sure, I could have rerouted and taken turns and watched the detour signs, but it was a very difficult experience versus the connected experience, which was dynamically updated.
I think the connected experiences, we're not there yet collectively, because as we get to autonomous and vehicle-to-vehicle type capabilities, you'll need that 100% connectivity. And you're not there in all regions and in areas. And so having that disconnected experience still is part of the vehicle. I mean, we still have a large car park out there that's not connected as well. And so you're going to have to bridge from being connected and not connected. And so what is it that is in that overall experience that you have to provide that consumer? So if it's map, if it's voice, a lot of that information is really dependent upon some of those capabilities.
Yeah, I think you have to have connectivity because that's how you get to the service delivery in the cloud, which is where all the intelligence, typically is going to be for these types of applications. And you need to have a scenario where you can switch between different types of connectivity. You can use embedded, or you can hook into Wi-Fi, or you can use a smartphone. And ideally, you're just dynamically switching from one versus the other based on the application needs or the quality of the bandwidth and things like that. So having systems that are very intelligent about maximizing the pipeline and then deliver the service
the
quality way.
Right, the collecting of that data, the non-essential data is good in that point, but when you're needed for decision making, that's where it becomes critical to have that access, right? So being connected 100% of the time to have this information to make a split-second decision in autonomy, or even if it's in an IoT space, you need that connectivity, and not having it is a challenge. And so as we look at the sectors and seeing what are they doing to support that as we move forward, that's a huge challenge, I think, ahead of us.
Yeah, and I think it's a feature, right? We're talking about features and the features that add value. So if you don't have the connectivity, the feature doesn't work. I mean, it would be like trying to roll down your window and it doesn't roll down, you're going to be upset, right? So, maybe it doesn't have to be 100% connectivity. It needs to work every time that I ask it to work.
Every time.
Right?
And I think it's more than just the connectivity channel. It's also the interoperability of the different components, and then also from a point of view. So using your navigation, you start your navigation actually on your phone while you're locating your car, download the POI into your car, get into your car, it pick up, carry the rest of the way, and then if it runs into a connectivity issue, then you could have a multiple channel. Yep. But we're still missing a lot of that interoperability capability, and as the smart home opportunities start coming up and other connected devices and other ecosystems, it's just going to multiply.
And that's where we move from single-purpose devices to interactions between devices, and these integrated experiences that are very natural to interface with and experience. Those have to be connected, and dynamic rerouting is just one piece of it. But being in my house and asking how the traffic is, and having the ability to know right then that the traffic is not normal, you need to leave early, connection to the car that's up, you're low on gas, add a fuel stop to my route to the office, and all of that becomes a very natural interaction that's based on the connectivity.
Yeah, as things get easier when we add in extra elements, the house talks to the car, talks to the traffic app, and it becomes exponentially harder to make that all happen. Yep. Which brings us to a great point. We were having a discussion about this earlier. Expectations from consumers, I think, are this incredible challenge, because when you're talking about a smartphone, I don't know about you, maybe you don't have the same experience that I have, but this downloads updates twice a day, 4 times a day. It crashes 2 or 3 times a day, and I'm okay with that. I don't know if you guys are. I'm frustrated by it, but it happens, and that's my expectation, and well, this is what's going to happen. My car has never crashed. If the car were crashing on a regular basis, well, that would be a real problem. So how do we, as we're taking things that aren't as well built and are fundamentally probably more prone to crashing, and we put them into places where we can't have them crash, how do we deal with that?
Well, there is an architecture component to that, and leveraging a lot of that orchestration.
Tim, I want you to fix it.
Managing a lot of that in the orchestration in the cloud, rather than demanding the hardware in the vehicle to do that, right? Because then you're just going to force more code changes to be pushed down to that last mile and causes problems. If you have the orchestration on the outside, and then the vehicle can accept it and handle it properly, you get more innovation, you get more stability, and more adaptability. Hyundai's a prime example of taking advantage of some of those things, to being able to, have that mobile app that says, hey, I have your calendar, the weather is cold, do you want me to start your car for you, right? Being able to connect the smartwatch to be able to save yourself from an attacking bear.
I mean, the big challenge is that people don't look as the car as that mobile device just yet, right? I mean, so the expectations of the vehicles is still changing. Some of the challenges that we have is people look at that as being in the vehicle is that last domain to get away from everything, right? And so they get into their vehicle and they think I'm disconnected from the world because I'm not at home, I'm not in the office, but they don't realize they have this device in their pocket and they are connected. And so the expectation still hasn't transferred over, I think, to the vehicle yet in that connected sense because, you know, the security of things, the autonomous of things, you know, they don't parallel that to that phone or that device. And so the complexity of, I think, of what they're adding into the overall experiences are some things that we need to potentially overcome because as you introduce that into the vehicle, the whole concept of potential cyber and other actions now become a factor that we have to deal with in that experience.
If I may, the problem's even a bit bigger than that because if everybody looks at this, it's a one-to-one relationship.
Right.
Right? You have your phone, you're managing the content, you're managing the function, other people aren't using it. That doesn't exist on a vehicle. Multiple drivers are using the vehicle. So how do you know which driver's using it? What are the rights and privileges of their driver? How are you making sure that only their content is visible to that person? Right, so
I mean, that's the big thing. It's like when you if you put a dongle device into the car and you're tracking that vehicle, it's basically you don't know potentially who that person that's actually driving that vehicle. So that when you're saying, you know, looking at what am I trying to accomplish in this task, like I say, it's very hard to say who is it that I'm trying to really master versus am I looking at the car or am I looking at that person who's driving?
You're right about the increased complexity, and you know automotive is kind of the first big epicenter of IoT deployment, and we're starting to now see that next connection into home automation, and and then it'll keep going. But it's going these solutions are definitely going to be more complex. They have more devices from different places, different manufacturers. These things are going to have to talk to each other somehow. So there's just going to be a whole nother level of engineering and QA that's going to need to occur to kind of make these sensible connections. And we haven't figured out how to do this yet, right? We're all going to do this as the IoT expansion continues.
Isn't that what
but
you're
we'll be
trying
at
to
the
develop?
forefront of it, which is exciting.
Right. That's a challenge. I mean, when you see, as you mentioned, it's a one-to-one relationship, but in the car, it's one-to-many because, you might be able to say, I'm in the house and start my car up talking to your, it could be an echo device, right? So I'd start the car. But in the car, I could have multiple device activations, right? I got Android Auto, I got CarPlay, I could have Office 365. I was trying to, as you start introducing all this complexity into the vehicle, what is the right direction? So having the right architecture will become a key for us as we start looking at, the cloud capabilities. Is if I need, say, for Android Auto, I need cloud, and I need the capabilities to learn and do analytics. But then I have the same thing if I'm working with another device or another capability. And so bringing all that together to have like that seamless integration, to go back to the first question we asked when you asked us, it's that seamless customer experience. I mean, if we can't achieve that, the person getting in that car is not going to buy our product.
I think we need to start moving away from just focusing on the endpoint, whether the endpoint be a vehicle, the endpoint being a phone, the endpoint being a Nest. It's managing and recognizing that all of these things have relationships to each other, and then focusing on those relationships and managing the relationship. If you do that, now you can have better access, better plug and play, and better authentication, right? And I think that's the paradigm shift that we all will have to adopt.
We were talking about expectations, and I don't mean to harp on this point, but one of the most interesting aspects is the experience of voice in cars today. I think a lot of consumers have had this experience where they walk in and they try giving a voice command once and it doesn't work and they never do it again. They say that was a terrible experience, which is a rarity in the auto space because they're used to everything just working so seamlessly. So, CJ, you're going to fix that, right? Just make it better for us.
No pressure.
So, you know, with Alexa, the interesting thing about Alexa is how surprised people have been at how well it works. And natural language is the magic of the device, and you know, we did a lot of hard work to get to that place. But when you get in the car, when you're in your house and you want to, you ask for, what's the weather today, how's traffic, you want that experience to be seamless and easy, and I don't have to go through a script. We've had voice-activated systems in cars for a long time, but they're hierarchical, I have to say, navigate, and then, you go through that scripted hierarchical menu system, and we really believe that this natural conversational way of using voice is truly how to engage the consumer.
Yeah, and I think, the questions before and also this question is some of the reasons why we've been aggressive to go with CarPlay and Android Auto, because now you have the power of Siri and even, Google Voice is extremely good inside the vehicle. You can say, whether it be text, music, very complex. And now with Alexa coming from the home, going the other way. So, voice really is, when you talk about distracted driving and convenience and all those things, it is the most natural way. And now we have a way to deliver it, natural speaking instead of trying to figure out what the car wants. So I really think that technology, by using those, cloud voice services, has now made voice actually work in the car, which it really didn't in the past.
We'll see.
So my concern is, it's my pun at it is, but how do I explain to my wife all the women that are in the car with me? Because I got Alexa, I got Cortana. So the challenge we have is, again, if I go back to that seamless experience, if I'm in the car and I say, how set the temperature to 68, but then I have my iPhone in me, so now Siri kicks in and I say, well, I want to navigate to this location, and then I talk to my Cortana and say, hey, when is my next meeting, right? So that experience is something that we have to overcome and say, how am I architecting this so that I don't have, the complexity of multiple clouds, multiple VR that I'm trying to overcome, and again, to me, that just introduces a level of complexity that I think we in the marketplace have to.
Not to mention all the voices in my head talking to me.
Yeah, I know. I was saying, how do I explain that? I can envision the call right now and all these women talking to my.
And it comes back to the key point of connecting the car and the house and the office and all these different experiences together in a way that's very natural, where it's very conversational. I may have 5 different types of lights and thermostats and different brands of devices and different brands of mobile devices and different brands of cars. And really the idea is I want to be able to have a natural conversation about, from the house, how's my commute, and have some very solid information come back that's dynamic and just in time, that updates me, the traffic is bad today, and the range in your electric vehicle, you're not going to make it, so you need to find an alternate route. There's a car share across the street, and have these very natural conversations that in about 15, 20 seconds, you can do the same thing that you would otherwise open your laptop, do a bunch of searches, find out information, turn on the news, see what the traffic is like, and distill that down into something that's very streamlined and efficient.
So I see we have about 5 minutes left, and we have a couple of questions. So what have we got? I'm going to read them off. Question that's come in over the wire here. Who will be expected to pay for the data requirements to support a more rich and complex human interface? Interesting question.
As part of the vehicle purchase, it all depends, right? So it could be included as a trial package as a purchase the vehicle. So that's a key element, because I think the thing that we haven't really touched on to make all this work is the information that's being shared or pulled from the vehicle, right? So what am I doing? How am I interacting? All that information has to be shared back and forth, and so that protocol has to be funded at some aspect, right? Wi-Fi capabilities of pushing data is available. As we talked about, having that connectivity is always there, but yes, there is a cost associated to it, and the consumer would be the one that would be funding it. Is it something separate? Is it something as part of the package? It's all going to be part of the deal that gets associated to that those features.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always the firm believer, and this is easy because Ubiquity doesn't make automobiles. I just think it's part of the core product that people are buying, and that service delivery should be part of the feature set, and ideally one of the reasons why people are buying that vehicle over another. Maybe there's some kind of higher order services that might be paid, but I think the big opportunity is for the base services to really kind of go a step further and deliver value and just have that built into the cost of the car BOM, as well as kind of the overall operating model that the automaker has going forward, because now the automakers have the ability to actually engage customers post-purchase in a way that hasn't been available in the past before cars were connected. So the automakers get the ability to leverage that post-purchase customer engagement experience, which should ideally give them some of the payment on payback for continuing to fund things like data and for embedded connections and things like that.
I think that's sort of an answer to the second question we have here also. What's the business case for an OEM to be more connected to the home?
Yeah, I can take that one. It's really, we talked about it earlier, these are really features that add value, right? So my ability to continue my life seamlessly between my, being at home, driving, coming home, getting back in, just with solutions like, with Alexa, you could be listening to an audiobook, have that automatically go into your vehicle when you get in, and continue that right from where it started. So there's a lot of these things that, again, it's about bringing the car and the rest of your life together, not being it something that interrupts. And from the OEM perspective, that's the experience we want to deliver. So it's pretty easy to invest in this space.
Any quick answer to the Fiat Chrysler question? Are Fiat Chrysler and Amazon talks for a partnership?
I mean, we basically talk to a lot of the cloud providers that are out there. So it's I don't know if I can really say, is there a partnership there? I mean, we look at Amazon, Microsoft, IBM. We work with potentially a lot of suppliers in this space. So I don't know if that answers your question, but partnerships are needed. And as we start moving forward with the capabilities to provide that real-time access, right? So when we start looking at on-prem or in the cloud, we look for the best solution that will give the best experience to our consumer.
Yeah, and from the Amazon perspective, obviously can't comment on a specific partnership, but the idea is, for Alexa specifically, we really believe that the power of that platform is in the number of devices and platforms that are connected into it. The power in Alexa is the openness of it. So, we're open to Alexa enabling devices, cars, speakers, refrigerators, whatever it is. And the more of those devices that respond in that consistent way, the better it is for the consumer.
We have exactly 0 seconds to answer the question about Google, which I'm going to answer and say no, it is not. That's all the time we have for our panelists. Are going to be around if you have some other questions you want to reach out to them. Thank you all for your time. It's been a pleasure.